Are you ready to party? Let's go.
Chris Hamm, welcome to the podcast. We've been planning this for a while. Thank you so much for coming out, man.
Yeah, T-Fish, thanks for having me. Jordan,
Welcome,
good to see you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a darn good time. And before we get started, if you can and you like the podcast, here we go with the spiel. You guys ready for this? Please like, subscribe, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and subscribe on YouTube. How's that? Is that good?
Sounded great.
All right, cool.
Great, man.
Just get that out of the way. Thanks, everybody. All right, we're done. Thanks, Chris, for coming.
Hold on, I feel like
Let's go home.
do it now. Okay, back to you, Tim.
No, yeah, Chris, thanks for coming out, man. This is going to be a good time. We've been planning this for a long time. And speaking of which, you're the pin. What do you call those? I can't remember. Is it a pin?
Yeah, it's a pin. You
Yeah,
got
the
it.
pin on your... How do we get one of those?
Lapel pin. You cannot get one of these.
Oh,
this
my
is,
God,
This
dude.
is a throwback to my great uncle running for mayor in the city of San Clemente in 1980.
You have a history of politics in your family.
Man, it's on both sides, unfortunately.
Okay,
yeah.
so he was, you said mayor
Yeah,
of San Clemente?
San Clemente. Whoa, dude. Yeah.
Are you a surfer?
Born and raised, brother.
My man,
Yeah,
hit
dude,
that
we talked
bell,
about
dude.
that,
Oh,
dude.
that's
Come
right,
on.
dude. I have a...
Jeez.
Jordan, you can hit the bell? Jeez. You got a lot going on, dude.
Listen, first of all, I'm trying to coordinate the cameras. I was going to go high five Chris as well.
Yeah, Jordan surfs.
I do.
I'll do. Heck yeah.
Well, I did a lot more, but I will soon.
Yeah. Orange is super close to the beach, so you're good.
It's not that far. It's
I mean...
20 minutes. You can be at 36th Street in Newport.
Okay.
25
I mean,
minutes.
that's all
Fair
right,
enough.
dude.
And
It's not the
open
river
parking.
jetties, but whatever, dude. That's
true.
fine. But Chris, dude, let's get into this, man. We've been wanting to do this for a while. We all know each other because we all are public servants, if you say. Work for the fire department. And, man, I've wanted to have you on here because you have such an interesting background. You've been a mayor.
Yeah.
And you look very young, which is good. You probably got a great skincare routine, my man. So good job. Keep it up.
I'm going to
dude.
get on yours, get a little better one, but
It's eye cream.
It works.
Eye cream. Man, so you were mayor of Seal Beach.
San Clemente.
San Clemente.
Close
okay,
enough.
somebody today at works at Seal Beach.
Starts with an S.
Does
I
start
get
with an
it.
S. It's
Okay.
at the beach.
Okay, San
Small.
Clemente. So you're born and raised in San Clemente?
Born and raised.
Man, how did you get into politics?
Yeah.
Because that seems so different because you're you know, we all work for the fire department, but you were a mayor as
Yeah.
well. It's rad. I didn't know that about you, man. It's cool. But yeah, how did you get into that?
That's a long story. So I was born and raised in the city of San Clemente. My family's from there. My great-great-great-grandfather sailed around the Horn from London, England, around the Horn in 1830 and landed in Baja, California. He sailed around when he was 12, got to Baja, California when he was 14. How long do you guys want to? Is this going to be a 3-hour podcast? Because if it is, we got a lot of time.
Definitely not a 3-hour podcast.
Okay.
We try to
Can
wrap
be.
it up
Keep
around
going
about
with
an
the story,
hour.
though. I like it.
Give us
It's
the cliff
actually-
notes.
The Cliff Notes is this. He sailed around the Horn at 12 years old. He's youngest of 7. When he died, he was the largest landowner in California history.
No way.
Yeah. So
Let's go.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's rad.
Don Juan Forster. And he settled.
His name's really Don Juan.
Yeah, he settled in
Gangster.
Southern California. So we have a ton of history there. My family's from there. Like I said, at one point he owned the Mission. Our family still has a room in the Mission, San Juan Capistrano.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, you're the most interesting man in the world. That's incredible.
Yeah, so we have a ton of history. So growing up, everybody was involved in multiple facets of government in the community. And so I remember the first time we were driving 5 minutes inland in the city of San Clemente, there was a large development going on. My great uncle had sold off a large swath of land on his Forster Ranch and built a bunch of homes. And it seemed like it was the furthest inland I'd ever been in my life, right? I'm like 9 years old.
Yeah.
And I look at my mom, she's a school bus driver. I was raised by a single mother, so I didn't have a silver spoon like you would imagine. Somebody
No way.
went
Wow.
from nothing to the largest landowner history and then back to nothing in my generation. So I said, why are we approving these kind of projects?
Yeah.
At 9 years old, I said that. My mom said, it's just the way it is. Big people have big power and they make the decisions and we don't. And that just clicked in my head at that age. I
At
told
9
her,
years old, huh?
at 9 years old.
Dang, man, I was booger eating for you.
Yeah.
No.
I wasn't thinking
So,
about that.
I was like Saturday morning cartoons and,
Yeah, well,
Ghostbusters.
I don't know what it was about that moment, but it just clicked in my mind and it was something that I put in the back burner that I was going to do. And after I started a career in the fire service, I bought my first house. I met my wife. I decided it was time to give back to the community. And I started out on General Plan Advisory Committee and then was successful in getting elected to city council and then mayor pro tem and then eventually mayor.
So you went city council. Oh, wow. Okay. So how old were you when you got on the city council?
That's a great
Were
question.
you, dude, were you in your 20s?
Late 20s. Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah. So San Clemente is almost 100 years old now. I was the youngest mayor in the history of the city. At the time, I got invited to the White House. I got to meet President Barack Obama.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I got a great photo with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Chris, I like your.
well, we'll get to that story later. But it was interesting because I thought I was going to be the youngest mayor there. But at the time, Long Beach had just.
That's right.
Yeah, they just elected the youngest mayor, and I think he had me beat by like 12 or 13 months at that point in time.
Wow.
But one of the cool takeaways from that, other than meeting the president, getting to spend an entire day in the White House, the Senate building, all those great things, was every single mayor from every major city came by. And I had a pin actually really close to the size that said San Clemente. Most mayors had tiny pins, dime sized. And I had this bad pin that said San Clemente. 'Cause I was
Who's
so proud.
this surfer dude with
Yeah.
this big old pin?
And
Sup, Prez?
yeah. Yeah. Oh. So they everybody came to me from Miami, Dallas, Houston, a big city in Colorado. They said, "Hey, when I retire, I'm retiring to San Clemente. That's the best
rad.
place on earth." So,
Man,
Nice.
yeah. So anyway, that was a 3-hour story condensed down into 5 minutes.
that's good.
Honestly, you cut that up pretty good.
Yeah.
And I would agree. I love San Clemente. It's like I feel like it's one of the last like real beach cities or towns, if you realize, because it's a city, but it feels more like small town feel a little bit.
It absolutely has a small town feel. And up until the coronavirus, it was one of the last affordable beach communities in Orange County. And so that's why there's a lot of people that are public servants living in the community.
Yeah, I missed that boat.
I think we all did.
Damn it.
Not anymore, dude.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, it's way gone. Wow. Okay, so being mayor that young, that had to be interesting. You probably had to get some flack from some people who didn't believe in you, especially while you were serving as well. I mean, how is that? Because you're dealing with the public, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have people. It's like being president, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have people that like you,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have people who definitely don't like you. How was it handling that? I mean, were you able to prep yourself, or was it more than you expected, or what you thought it was going to be?
You know what? I had so much belief in the community. So, like I said, I was raised by a single mother, and every opportunity I've had in life was because of the community, right? They say it takes a village to raise a child, and I firmly believe that. So, my mom made $26,000 a year driving a school bus for the Capistrano Unified School District. And at the time, some of my best friends' parents were making $1 million a year.
Wow.
So I never felt as though I was going without, because you had this dichotomy of a community where you could have people making less than $30,000 a year and people making $500,000, and their kids are going to the same schools, they're playing the same sports. And so I was exposed and had opportunities because of the community around me. And so for me, it was always just a drive to give back, to make sure those opportunities were available for other people coming along.
I like that. So it seems like everyone meshes pretty well then, right? Is that what you're just kind of saying?
Yeah, so there's a great joke from one of the captains that just recently retired, and he says, San Clemente, it's the only place where a gardener lives closer to the beach than you do. So...
I like that.
Yeah,
dude.
it's interesting because when you go and you meet with a diverse group of people, and they always talk about, the low-income communities are, in underprivileged areas, or they're underserved. And in San Clemente, that's not the case. They're right next to the beach. They have blue ribbon schools. They have access to the exact same things that the millionaires have that live down the street, on the same street, essentially.
Yeah, man, there's some beautiful homes over
Yeah.
there, man. I mean, coming from where I came from as far as like work, and then where we're at now, I never thought I'd be getting overtime and working in places like that. You're like, well, we got a beach view, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But back to your point of, people were not happy. I pissed off a lot of people from a lot of Fortune 500 companies. I made a lot of enemies. I got a lot of threats. But that's the beauty of having a public service job, is you're secure in your position.
Yeah.
So I actually had to fight off a couple false complaints against me made at the agency. And
That's incredible.
yeah, I mean, politics is dirty.
Oh,
It's a
yes,
dirty
it
game.
is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
No, Chris, I don't believe you.
It's all fair and equitable. Look what's happening
yeah.
now.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's okay that people are in the grave and still voting. Whatever.
Or how about was it a senator or a congressman who died like
Oh yeah.
governor,
4
right?
months ago?
East Coast
Or was
governor.
governor. Yeah, it's a high-ranking position, and he won even though he hasn't been on Earth for
You can't make this stuff up, man.
No.
4 months.
I think about that sometimes. The politics that we see in our jobs, and also what you do as far as when you're in council and mayor. I think, man, some of this stuff is shady. How crazy is it on the federal level, dude?
Let me just back you guys up a little bit and just say, so I was in the same position you guys are in. When you're on the outside looking in, you think everything is a conspiracy. There's so many things happening behind the scenes. And one of the most eye-opening things that I had on city council was, it's not a conspiracy. It's just you're not involved in making the decisions. And so there's a
okay.
finite group of people who are raising their hand time and time again. And whether they're being paid to do it by a company or they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart because they want to give back, it's the same people over and over. So a community of 65,000 like San Clemente, you'll have less than 20 people raising their hand time and time again. And so those are the people in the know.
God, isn't that so true?
Yeah. So if you took the time to reach out, and that you can just expound that, at a federal level or a state level or county level, and you're going to have the same thing happening. It's just a small pool of people. You don't have the time to research it or get involved. I don't have the time to research and get involved.
Right.
And so that's why it's hard to grasp from those bigger concepts when you look at it from outside the circle perspective.
That's a very well put together answer.
Yeah.
Right there. I like that, Chris.
Yeah.
I do have a question though, for the, because it was. I know it's on a smaller level, local, right? Is there anything like interesting as far as, because I know with like the state level, federal level, when you start talking about things as far as how they're moving money around, and we don't have to use San Clemente as anything other than it seems like people use the terms bureaucracy a lot, right? The red tape, right? You gotta grease the wheels to get things going. Is there a lot of truth to that? And we don't have to be specific about anything. It's just I think that's like, I don't know, at least in like my friend group or family group or people I talk to about it, it's like, everyone's always, when we're talking about giving money towards something, things like that of that nature. And then it's like, yeah, we can give you $1 billion, but nothing ever seems to get done.
Yeah.
What, like if there's a little insight on that, or maybe
So
kind of talk to that a little bit.
There's a two-piece answer to that. The first one is you want government to go slow. And that sounds contrary to what most of us think of when we think of government.
Don't tell me that, Chris. Gosh,
Well, you don't want any rash decisions made with the public's money.
okay, that's a good point.
Right?
Very good point.
So you want to be stewards of the community's funds. But the thing that people don't realize, and let's take this house, for example. So this is your home. You want to do a remodel, and you want to go down to City Hall and get some permit, and you have to ask for an exemption for that permit because you're going to build into an encroachment in the backyard, we'll say, for example. Well, you're going to do that yourself. So you're going to be owner builder. You're probably going to hire a contractor, but you're going to lay the plans. You're going to hire the contractor. You're going to hire the framer. You're going to hire the electrician, do all these things yourself. Well, you're one man and you have a full-time job and you do a podcast and maybe you do something else with beverages. I'm not sure, but you have a lot of stuff going on. Now you take that same example.
I actually do.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Maybe I'm a big deal.
Slam's hard sell, so check it out.
Yeah. So take that same example and let's say pretend I'm a billionaire Fortune 500 company. I'm going to hire 15 people to do that exact same job. And that's going to be their sole responsibility. And so now that same project, when you go down to the city and you need to get plans approved and say they subcontract with a third-party vendor to do their plan reading or their engineering or whatever it is, well, me as the billionaire versus you as the homeowner, I have access to those and I could pay to expedite those processes. Okay. And so that's why it always seems like it goes faster for the big guy. Because they ultimately have more money to get things done at a faster pace because they have people working full-time 24/7. And so sometimes that's good, right? If we're doing something that the community gets behind and rallies behind, and sometimes that's bad. So that's my case.
Gosh,
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean that was pretty good.
It does. Yeah, no, and I think it's a rational explanation, and I don't know. I haven't really talked to people with legitimate political experience, and I just feel like that's always something that comes up when talking about. I mean, look, we just voted on propositions. There's allocations for money, finances, things like that. And over the years of voting and seeing things, either stuff you wanted to go through or not wanted to go through, but even when it does, you're kind of like, it's never really. I've never seen the effects of it, But different from massive state scale versus, like a city local deal.
That's a huge difference. That's a big step from local politics to state for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I always wondered.
It's a good question.
That. Yeah. What was I going to say? So you said you were late 20s.
Yep.
What, was that when you were 9 years old? Was that really the political aspiration or what you thought was? I mean, when you said that, we really didn't break that down at all. We kind of run through the timeline there. That to me is it's impressive, to have those aspirations because What were your first steps, basically? Like, how did you get into it? Like, was it like, okay, I'm going to go to the community service center and I'm going to start volunteering. I'm going to start meeting people and then start throwing it out there that, hey, I want to get on a board position.
Yeah. So first off, let's just say being a 9-year-old and wanting to be the mayor is an absolutely foolish idea, right? I mean, we can all agree it. When you're 9, there's a million things you want to do.
I mean, I don't know.
It is what it is.
I wanted to be a ninja.
Hey,
they're
did you
cool.
accomplish that goal?
I mean, in my own way.
Okay.
I want to be a surf bum. I was like, I'm gonna live at the
I
beach.
think we all still want to be surf bums. That hasn't changed.
That goal is still there.
Yeah.
I'll get there one day.
I've made a lot of bad decisions in aspirations towards that goal. So it hasn't worked out very well. But no, so to answer your question, yeah, first and foremost, right, I had to be somebody that I would vote for. And so getting a career under my belt, and that was obviously the fire service. So that's what I pursued. So once I was secure in my position, being a property owner. So if I'm going to be making decisions based on zoning and what people are going to be doing with their properties, I feel like I should have an interest share in that as well.
Yeah.
So I purchased a home. And then from there, I started getting involved for raising my hand for committees and commissions. And so I was appointed to the General Plan Advisory Committee, and I was on that for 2 years before I ran.
Okay.
The first time I ran, which I'm so disappointed, I was going to bring you guys a gift. I have these rad hats that I made with New Era. And they say, Hamm's your man. It's got Uncle Sam pointing, like that. It says, Hamm's your man, just like this.
Dude,
Uncle
I
Sam.
would so wear that.
I'll bring you guys 2 of them.
Please.
And then, so I spent $1,000, and which is, you don't have to report if you spend less than 2,000. And I got 4,500 votes or something like that, which for a community of 65,000, there's 28,000 registered voters. It was a decent showing, right?
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I was on the General Plan Advisory Committee, and I was serving with a cross-section of, I think, 28 people at that point in time. The next year, or 2 years later, when there was another election, because they stagger elections 3 and 2, there was a 16-year incumbent who was on the city council, and he happened to be a fire captain for the same organization that I worked for.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And we couldn't have been on polar opposite ends of what we thought the vision for San Clemente was. I wanted small town. He wanted to overdevelop like Huntington Beach or Newport Beach. And so I wasn't planning on running against him because he'd been elected for 16 years. He was an incumbent, and there was no way on planet Earth that fresh face was going to come in there and beat this guy. Well, with the support of a couple of the people on the General Plan Advisory Committee, they came to me and they said, hey, you're going to run. I told them, no, that's why. And they said, what if we help fundraise for you? Yeah. And I said, well, that's a different story, because if I have money behind me, then I can get my word out and I can show people what I want to do with this community, what my goals and missions are. So they offered it, and I said with one caveat, I said, I hope you don't think you're going to get anything out of this by donating to my campaign. And they said, all we're asking for is that you pick up the phone. I said, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I said, how do you guys know that I'm even on the same page with what you guys believe in? They said, the General Plan Advisory Committee, it's a document that guides the community for the next 100 years, or next 30 years, excuse me. And they said, we've gone over every aspect of this community, and the areas where we disagree are so small that we're comfortable with the decisions you're going to make.
Oh, dang.
So
Okay.
I think I raised $12,000 that election cycle.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Well, at the time, the average campaign was about 35,000. And that election, I was the largest vote getter in the history of the city of San Clemente.
Let's hit that bell, baby. Let's do it. You did more with less.
Did more?
Let's go,
More
dude.
or less.
Yeah.
Also a good
Slogan. Here we go. We got the new
that's-
slogan, dude.
Yeah. Oh, man. So that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. So when you're talking about like fundraising, is that more like just like outreach stuff as far as like, are you going door to door? Are you holding functions? Like what does that look like when you say fundraising?
Yeah, so it's different for an incumbent than it is for a newcomer. For a newcomer, you're hitting up everybody, friends, family, neighbors, anybody in the community that's willing to give you $1, you're taking it. After you've been in the community, you've established yourself, you've shown your voting record, it's quite different. People are more willing to donate to your campaign because they know what they're getting. You're a known commodity. So like I made mention New Era. So the New Era guy, after a council meeting, I'm sitting with the city manager and the assistant city manager. At the time, the city manager was 6'7".
6'7".
He's a water polo player, national champion.
It's a big dude.
Yeah, big dude. I'm not a big dude, if you guys can see on the camera.
I mean, either.
Sitting down, you look totally normal.
He looked
Oh,
great.
perfect. So you guys don't know that I'm 4'11".
Stop.
We got a booster on him.
Yeah. They took the booster out, okay? Yeah. So, and then the assistant city manager was like 6'6", 300 pounds. Two big dudes were sitting at the bar having beers. And this guy is listening to us, and, it's me in front of these two massive dudes, and, they're asking me questions. So obviously I'm not their boss directly, but they report to me as the mayor. And so this guy sitting across the bar shuts up and goes, hey, who are you? And I go, oh, hey, we're just out having drinks, blah, 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 whatever. And the city manager goes, oh, he's the mayor of San Clemente. And he goes, oh, really? Comes over, gives me a card. He says, hey, man, anytime you need anything, the city's going great, hit me up.
Wow.
And so literally he ended up floating me a box of like a couple thousand hats. I mean, it was insane how many hats.
That was the owner of New Era?
He ended up being, I think he was vice president of sales. I remember his title. I still talk to him every once in a while. He's helped with a couple other projects.
Nice.
But those are the type of companies that come out and they support you as an incumbent. So it's a lot less of a lift when you've done it once.
When you're already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense. And name recognition and stuff. Yeah, I can imagine, especially if no one knew you. You know, you really you're scraping to get out there.
You'd be amazed the people that send money to your P.O. box, even the first time out, that don't know you personally. It's pretty inspiring.
So I have a question about like when you're going to run, right? Or you put the time in, you're like, hey, you know what, we're going to do this. You obviously have to have thick skin. You have to. Yeah. Because otherwise you're going to go friggin' crazy.
Are we not allowed to cuss on a podcast?
We do, but we're trying to keep it clean.
And you're wearing the badge.
We try our best.
I'm just trying to keep it clean. Okay. Anyway, no, but like, what were the first things? Or like, you don't even have to say what it's about, but like, what are some of the things like when like shots fired, or handling the negative commentary? Because I'm sure, obviously, there's always going to be people that disagree, no matter how great or bad your ideas are, right? So, like, what was that like handling that?
So for me, it was enjoyable because I knew I had the security in my job, right? So every day, this wasn't something that I needed to pay the bills. It wasn't paying my mortgage. It didn't identify who I was. I just knew that I was given a finite amount of time to help the community and give back to the community that gave me so much. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. Where the impact came was from my family and from my wife. So a lot of that stuff is felt on her back.
Oh, see, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
They're not raising their hands for public office. You're the one raising it. So a lot of that collateral damage falls on them. But to your point, for my second run, technically my third run, but my second run for re-election, I had a lot of heavy hitters coming after me. So they sent mailers. I was just talking with T-Fish about all the stuff that's going around right now at the agency with the memes and everything and the pictures that's going on for this race. But it pales in comparison to what was going on for city council race. So at the time we were battling a hospital closure, one of the largest hospital groups in the state of California. Vacation rentals were a big deal. They were taking away affordable housing for a lot of people in the community. And we had a big issue with sober living homes. And so there was big money being thrown at the elections. I think my last election, my opponent was raised between his donations and independent expenditures like $150,000. And I was still below $15,000. So I was being overspent by 10x.
Wow. Do more with less, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, all day long. Yeah.
So, you got 100 gallons left in your tank, bro.
Dude, yeah. So that election,
a lot of brunches.
I think there was 5 mailers that got sent to every single house in the city of San Clemente with my face on it, telling the entire community how much I sucked. And it was all lies. None of it was accurate, right? But you don't need to vetting this stuff. And so I would have to race home every day when the mail came on days that I was off to pull it before the wife would see it. So to this day, she still thinks there were only 2 or 3. But that's the kind of thing that you have to deal with as an elected official.
Dude, did they ever have any commercials? You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen
yeah.
the ones like right now during election?
Yeah.
You're like trying to watch TV late at night and then a political commercial comes on. Automatically volume goes up. It fades black to white.
It's like, keep China out of Congress. You're like, what? I didn't even know. How do we have
it just ruins the vibe of the whole night. Like, dude, what is going on? Why does everybody hate each other? Jeez.
So I was fortunate in that social media was still like a new technology. So in 2010, when I ran, social media didn't play a single role in politics. In 2012, social media played a role, but it was a very there role. That was the first year I got elected. And then in 2016, it was a whole new era. The floodgates opened, man. I mean, that was absolutely crazy. And so there was no fact checking in 2016. You could say whatever you want about whoever you want, however you wanted. So there wasn't commercials, but there was definitely things. Facebook hadn't even figured out how to monetize it yet. So people were just posting crazy things all over the place. But it was nuts. It was nuts.
I was like 2010. That's like MySpace.
Yeah,
MySpace was that was the big
2010.
thing.
No, dude, MySpace was earlier.
Was it before that?
Yeah, MySpace was like 2006.
I had no social media in 2010 for my campaign.
Probably a smart idea because MySpace, you can post or you could post anything.
I probably could have put like a sick band on there,
I really like 311. I'm just kidding. I love 311.
Okay.
You just struck me as someone else.
I'm not a
like,
music guy, so 311 is that a band? I don't.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I might be a music guy.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, dude. Well, Chris, so going from city council, you were mayor for a while. Did you do 2 terms or 1?
So I did 8 years total.
That's 2, right?
Yeah, 2 terms.
My guy.
Yeah.
Look at you, man.
So on that topic, real quick, sidetrack there. So I told you that I beat a 16-year incumbent who had the same profession I had, been in the community for a really long time. So one of my initiatives that I want to do to ensure everybody had an opportunity to serve is put in term limits, because we didn't have any term limits.
Thank you.
And so while I held the council majority my entire time on council, I could never get the support to put it on the ballot to go to the voters to make the good decision.
Damn.
My last term, I put it on the ballot. I got the support from my council, and it was one of the best initiatives that we had in terms of voter turnout and response of affirmation for it. So now we have 2-term limit, and then you have to step off for a minimum of 2 years.
I believe in term limits.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am a big fan of that concept.
Hope we
So-
can push that up top one day.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll see, dude.
Yeah. There's no way. Nancy Pelosi won again. Do you guys know that?
I did not. I've been solely focused on local politics this last
That's smart, Chris.
foray.
Yeah, there's a lot of disappointing things happening. We don't want to
Yeah.
go into that because that's a whole other thing we could talk about for hours.
Okay.
Hours.
Yeah, no. I was just saying, because term limits would effectively stop that stuff. from
Well, you're
happening.
right. No, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
no, I don't mean it in like a negative way at all, other than the fact that I feel like it's dishonest when you're a 40-year politician in one position, or not one, but that. Thanks, I saw your thumb. Where it's like, yeah, you're in there for 20 plus years and you've made so much money, but you're on a fixed salary from, which I'm not knocking entrepreneurship, but
But how do they all become entrepreneurs?
I sure find it funny that you start.
How do you go
yeah.
to office making $120,000 a year and you come out a multimillionaire, like $20 to $30 million?
It's way more than that, and you're right.
I'll shoot low.
Well, you just have your significant other buy correct stocks.
Oh, it's unbelievable crap, dude.
They call that insider
There's a whole
trading for the
Reddit
rest of
page,
us.
Chris, that I follow. I think, and it's called Nancy Pelosi Stock Picks.
Oh, awesome. Well,
Oh,
how do we
yeah.
get on that? Let's start picking those same
Get that Reddit
stocks.
account, dude. Reddit's still the wild west of the internet. I love it.
So you can actually follow all the congressional people's stock movement.
Yeah.
The problem is that they won't post it for like 4 days. So you can see what they did, but what they did is obviously that it's the time frame which is crucial to get in or get out of certain things, and that's why it's bullshit to me. Because I would like to get in on that. Anyway, that's a whole other topic.
Well, Chris, you're still involved with politics, local level, we could say that. But I know you want to get back into stuff, at least in our job and what we do. And I kind of want to talk to you about how what you did for San Clemente kind of lines up with like union work and what we do with unions, because that's very important. You have people that are president, vice president, you have boards, all that stuff, and they're supposed to work for the people. How do you feel about unions and what they support, what they're supposed to do? And is that something you're looking into kind of and want to do?
Yeah, well, I think that's why one of the reasons why you guys had me on is I am running for office for our local. I'm a third-generation union worker. Unions are supposed to be all about wages, hours, and working conditions, working for the membership. I can attribute everything that I have in my life to the membership that we're involved in, both past and present. So our previous board did a ton of good work for our membership to get us to where we're at. Our current board has worked their butts off.
Working very
as
hard.
Membership.
Yeah, very hard.
And I believe the people who raise their hands for the next board are going to do the exact same thing. Yeah.
Well, dude, it's interesting because it's almost like, how we just talked about politics. Is that we always conspiracy theories, right?
Yeah.
And you get to work and guys are like, they're doing this. And you're doing like, I don't know, man. Like, man, there's probably a lot more behind it. There's probably some policy and rules we got to follow.
Yeah.
But what's the vision that you see and that you want to do and continue forward for that membership and for the union?
Yeah. So at broad strokes, right? I call it the 4 C's. So number 1 is communication with the membership. It's 2022, about to be 2023. I'm sitting here in a room and we have a podcast, 3 cameras going on it. Jordan's doing a great job running it, by the way.
It's a lot running those
Have you seen
cameras.
the red light when you're talking, it pops up.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's
sorry.
been holding it on me a long time because he's had a nice little cocktail
Our
over
camera
here, but-
operator, you had something
Yeah.
come up. I'm like, hey, dude, either you or me are running the freaking
Yeah.
cameras. That's tough when you're trying to like talk and do it. But
Exactly.
We miss you, Sam.
It's
He's got it.
it's 2022, and every information travels fast, right? And so we need to do a better job as a membership of getting that information out and communicating with our members. I think since I've been on, we've done a better job of recent past, right? Especially the current board's done a much better job than the previous boards have done, but there's still plenty of room for improvement. The second C in the 4 C's is community involvement. So as you guys know, you've been in the service a long time. When we started, we were involved in every single community event. I mean, whether it's the Special Olympics, MDA, taking Santa down the street, you name it, we did it. That's what we did. We are your fire department, period. And so we need to get back to that, because with that, we show the community what we do, we show our value, and then that gets impressed upon the electeds.
Well, you want buy-in from the community.
Exactly.
You want them to believe in
Yes.
what you're doing, right?
Yep.
Like you said, we are your firefighters. I think some of that does get lost sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying now, but you could see with times change. You
Yep.
know, and especially with COVID, people gosh, things have changed. But I totally agree with that, 100%.
Yeah. The other thing, I got 2 more, and then we can jump on whatever Jordan had to say, because I heard him take a deep breath there. So
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just super nervous about pushing.
you're
the
doing a
button.
great job now. I mean, we're getting lots of
You know what's
cycle between
funny?
the red light.
Yeah,
here.
I know. Not to throw you off, but I love that you say that, because that's how I know he's going to say something. And I back off.
Yeah.
I hear him. Really? That's yeah.
I'm picking up on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Funny that you bring that up.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump in here? We can jump in here. I
no,
can pause.
please keep going.
Okay.
Please keep going.
So we have a unique governance in our agency, and so the biggest piece I think that we've been lacking really in the last 15 years, so this isn't a current board issue, is communication with the people who govern our agency. We just haven't done a good job because it's so big and there's so much work to be done. And as Jordan said, what made you get into politics? I don't want to do that, at least not at this point in my career, right? And so I think my background, it lends itself to having those communication lines open and really pushing those relationships to ensure we get a good contract for our members. The last one, I think, and you guys know specifically about this, is communication with executive management. So we haven't done a good job in the last 2 years specifically, with some extenuating circumstances. But I think ultimately, when I talk about wages, hours, and working conditions, that working conditions piece is where having a good working relationship with executive management is super important for our membership.
Yeah, I think
that's
that.
it.
I think that's very important, actually. Yeah, so that's. I think that's something that is going to resonate with people that are in this profession, right? More specifically, to where, right? But I think that's where it's like you were talking about earlier, the outside looking in, right? So it doesn't matter what you do, who you are, how you can express something. You're always going to remain under tight scrutiny when you're the face. You know, it is what it is. And I have, from a previous employer, we were very heavily involved with union activity.
Oh, yeah.
And so you kind of got to see that even though we're not in the rooms making the decisions, you either hear about it or you hear parts of it, whether it's true, not true, or just something to be thrown out there to make people think a certain way. I personally always found it interesting because it was like, especially when you're talking about like negotiation stuff, when you are lobbying for those wages, working conditions, and like benefits or whatever the case is, it always felt like there was some kind of like, we got a secret. And we're going to come with them with this huge elaborate plan that's going to get you guys something that wants or whatever you would deem as fair and equitable, right? And I'm not here to say what the standard of fair and equitable is because it is extraordinarily subjective. But just for the sake of the conversation, whatever that is where I came from before was less than, right, in comparison to surrounding agencies. Right. So I always felt like it was, when you were hearing stuff from the union or like this is this game plan or this is kind of the game plan, here's what we're shooting for. But there was a lot of information missing in the middle. I never understood that.
Yeah.
Because my always thought process is like, well, if I'm a professional negotiator on the other side of it, where I'm dealing against whatever unionship is, there's obviously I know what you're coming for. Like, I know this. It's not a secret. It's not a secret here. It's not a secret to anybody else. And whoever's coming to the table, there's no secret of what you're trying to bring. Maybe the numbers are different. But I think what's important is, like, when you talk about the transparency, when you talk about the ability to have this open line communication within the union body to having good relationships with the upper management board. My hope is that in those next steps is that everyone could be on the same page, because it's not a shocker anymore. Because when you do that, when you create this illusion that there's like some secret, it does create conspiracy. It does create, and I hate using the term conspiracy because I feel like I'm kind of conspiratorial on a lot of things.
Love conspiracy.
Just because if you can't answer it and it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just like, there's got to be more. It can't just be, it is what it is. But, maybe that's a philosophical standpoint that I have a problem with. But, when it comes to this stuff, I hope that like that's something that, like seeing you move forward, like shed the light on that shit.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it isn't some like it's a game, but not really. Now you have to get everyone on board with stuff and maybe how you can change the minds of people that you're trying to affect. I get that. But also it's like, I feel like just stop making it like a, you know what I mean? Like kind of a weird like limbo period, where it's like, oh, we might be able to do this. But like, no, do this what we're doing. And here's all the ways that we're going to help to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like people take things better straightforward of like, hey, this is exactly what we got to do to get here. If we all do this together, they all see it, we're going to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a
Well, so I'll just
really
say,
wasn't a question. That was kind of a weird statement.
Great
Sorry.
statement. Oh, that's
Yeah.
good, dude.
Let me jump on the bandwagon with that statement. So first and foremost, I'm not currently on the executive board of our union.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Address
yeah.
this though. So I'm not on the board. The board has hired me as a consultant, so I've been working for the membership for the past year and as a steward as well. 2 months ago, they brought me on to the negotiations team to assist with negotiations. So I have seen behind the door or behind the curtain, right? One of the things that I've been pushing in an initiative is better communication. So you guys know where we're at currently with it. There hasn't been much movement. You guys have seen the information, but there still needs to be an update. Even though there's been no movement, we still need to explain that to the membership, right? So explain to the membership how many times we met, what the topics of discussion were, and where we're at, and how we got here, right? There's no reason why we can't be talking about, where we were 6 months ago in negotiations. That doesn't make any sense. Right. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position of power right now. I'm sitting at the table, but I don't have a voice at the table. And so that's why I'm running. So I have a voice at the table. And so all those issues you have, I can bring to the forefront and I can communicate them.
No.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the hope from, and I don't speak for anyone but myself, but, at the end of the day, I feel like there's a lot of individuals in that same mindset that's just what people want to see. It's like you entrust in a group that is elected, this is the democratic way of doing it, like right on, and it's the hope that, hey, we get people in there that can not just make things happen, but I think that there's an empathetic side when the explanation is clear, because I think having the understanding that it's like, look, obviously, if we're talking about unions, if we're talking about wages, things like that, if, the numbers get thrown out there, people have a little bit of an understanding or maybe an idea of what is achievable. And when it doesn't happen, it immediately is just extraordinarily negative.
yeah.
And, I think part of that is because it's so unclear on the steps to get there. And I think that that's something that will, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm not speaking in definites, but it's something that's not done.
Yeah.
I can say that much, and this isn't, and not knocking any board members currently or in the past, I agree. I'm not trying to shit on anybody.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But at the same time, I think just from my perspective that would really stand out. It's like, look, this is our game plan. Here's the path. We got buy-in on it, and if it doesn't work, you all know it doesn't work and you know exactly what we did to get there.
Yeah.
So now it's like, damn, we missed.
Yeah.
But maybe, okay, let's reconvene and then start again,
So I don't know how deep you guys want to get in the details on this, but I can.
Bro, you can go as deep as you want.
Okay. So
Just,
I brought my snorkel.
yeah,
Let's
nice.
go.
Yeah.
Don't be too surface level because I'm going to be like, I take baths deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? But
I get it.
Nice, Tim.
So we've done a good job this election season. I can't say it. I'm very excited on what we've achieved this election season. So we took somebody who was a longtime council member for their city. They were a longtime member of our governing body, and we put forth a different candidate, and the membership came out and spoke, and we pushed that candidate to success.
Wow.
And so that sends a message across the board.
Heck yeah, it does.
Right? It shows that our membership is prepared to put in the work and put in the fight. So it brings them closer to the table to discuss the things that we want in terms of wages, hours, and working conditions. That combined with a couple of other bigger races that also have seats at the table with our governing body, we had a massive flip on that as well, from red to blue, which probably for most of us in the organization is probably not good from our personal perspectives. But when you're talking about wages, hours, and working conditions, it's absolutely good for the membership. Yeah. So we're going to see a change over here in January. And I was just talking about this with some guys at one of the bigger locations that come January, we're going to see a lot of new players in the room. They're going to have some motivation to come to that table and have discussions with us. So I think January is going to be a big time for us. On top of that, this Thursday, the 17th, is the last ask that the membership has, or that the union has of the membership. I think you guys are aware. Mm-hmm. And so we hope that we get as big a turnout as we had the first time we asked for this ask from the membership, and we push our agenda and make it known that we're here and that we're not going away, and that if you want to play ball and support your public safety officers, this is the way to do it, and this is your opportunity to do it, because we want to work with you. We don't want to be in opposition with governance. We want to work with governance, because ultimately we're here to deliver service to the residents, and we do that through collaboration.
No. Was well put.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's God, there's a lot in what you just said. So let me try to piece this apart here.
That was really good.
Tim was
busy. What?
I said Tim was busy. He missed half of it.
He was just dancing.
Yeah.
He's like, keep going.
Yeah.
So just starting with one of the subject matters you brought up, right? Because you're it's probably very accurate that you probably have more of a fiscal conservative body membership within public service.
Yep.
Right. And not speaking for everybody, this is just generalization. So, but with that, it only seems to work as far as being able to gain moving forward, or to keep things equitable with the current state economy, things like that moving forward, to have more democratic. It's not executive management, but it would be like whatever the councilship governing body. Thank you. Which is kind of this like interesting, I don't want to say conundrum, but a little bit, right? Because typically more democratic viewership or supporting members would be in favor of unions. That's what it's been forever, right? As opposed to more Republicans that typically are very tight with the funds. I do have a caveat to that, and I just out of curiosity, or if you want to speak to it, if not, no worries either. But it's always one of those things where you kind of hear that the police departments always tend to be successful with those financial movements moving forward within cities. And why, like, you know, and not saying it, because San Clemente doesn't have its own police department. Right. So so just meaning like maybe to shed a little light, or like, why is it that it seems that PD always is successful in those situations versus like the other public servants?
Yeah. So you hit a lot of questions there.
Sorry.
So I'm going to be jumping around a little bit.
It's okay. It's okay.
First and foremost, with the largest police agency in the jurisdiction that we serve, they report to a governing body of 5 versus ours being over 20. So we have a 5x difference in the amount of lift and work our members have to do to achieve the same goal.
Yeah.
So they have a much easier task to get a contract before their members than we have. In terms of red versus blue, this is how much do we have to dance around the agency that we work for?
Well, yeah, we never name it. Just that's all.
We'll keep dancing.
Let's
Chris.
put it this way. So let's say that in Southern California, there's 2 very conservative groups that have a lot of influence over the Republican Party. Okay, and those 2 groups have set out an initiative to their elected officials, and it looks like this. It's multifaceted. The first and foremost is retirements. So they came after those in 2012 with Pepper. They accomplished that goal. So that's said and done. Check. The next one is pay and benefits. So they're constantly fighting for pay and benefits. Now, the unfortunate part for us as members is we are the area that gets played out because of the governance of our organization. because the way that works, because the 5 members versus over 20.
Right.
So they're coming after that constantly. The third one is 4.0 staffing. So they want to downstaff to 3.0. And the reason they want to do that is twofold. One, it's a more cost-effective way of doing business, but it opens the door for private paramedics. And the reason that's important, if I'm an elected official running in my jurisdiction and I can reduce my staffing to 3.0 and I can bring in private paramedics, 2 things happen. One, the union is still going to try to court me and pay for my campaign on re-election. But the second piece is now I have private industry and private paramedics that are also going to write me a check. So I get to double down for the same service to cover my costs to run for re-election. And so that's the important piece of that. Does that make sense?
It
That makes
absolute
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's what we're battling as a membership right now. Our board is made up of 20 conservatives and 5 Democrats. And so when their initiatives being pushed down from their bosses that you need to take away staffing, you need to reduce pay and benefits, that's why we're in the position we're in.
Oh.
And so it sucks as a conservative, right? Because those are the people that I want to govern my communities. But at the same time, we need to continue to have competitive wages and benefits to make sure we deliver the best customer service we can.
See, how do you fight that, right? Because you look around, and I'll say there have been numerous surrounding agencies who have been getting 18, 28%
Yeah.
raises. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to think right now, we all know inflation's hitting everybody.
Yeah.
It's hard, right? We're, 9% or something, almost 9%, even maybe high, it's going to go higher. And they're getting raises that are pretty high. And so how do you tell your membership or tell the board, how do you like justify that and tell them like, look, man, the surrounding agencies are getting raises. Like we're starting to get lower in pay. You're going to have people leaving this department and going other places so they can support their families. How do you present that? How do you bring that to a fight? That's what my thought is all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
So first and foremost, it's getting the elected officials to actually read the documentation being provided to them. So we're fortunate enough that, or we're large enough that our organization's been delivering information to these electeds for 6+ months now. Some of it is accurate and some of it is a wild mischaracterization of what's actually going on. The good news is since I've come on the board, we've collaboratively been able to get them to bring more accurate information to the governance board to make sure they have the details to make good decisions. And so some examples of that, this is straight from our organization. This is our numbers as a union. This is our agency's numbers. Since 2018, our recruitment numbers for open position have gone from 3,600 applications a year to 1,400 applications a year. I'm not great at math, but that's over.
It's still that many?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I would have thought that it was way less.
That's for open. So that's not for
okay.
any specialty position that you guys might carry,
Gotcha.
which I think both of you carry, right?
Yeah.
Starts with a P. You guys both? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it hurts, man. Trust
I'm
me.
not. I don't have a P. So
You're lucky,
there's
man.
no P next to my name.
Yeah,
I'm
don't,
peeing hard.
I tell. Yeah.
don't sell your soul, people. Don't get that P.
The P numbers are a lot worse. So if you look at the P numbers, then that's probably what you're referring
That's
to.
what I know.
okay.
That's really bad.
The other interesting part is, and I'm gonna mess this one up a little because I haven't looked at the statistic in a little bit, is in either the last 2 years or the last calendar year, we've lost to the tune of $2.7 million in training dollars in employees that have left this organization, not related to retirement or retirement. And there's another caveat. There's 2 large groups. Basically, employees that have left our organization to go pursue a career in another public safety agency. And we've lost out in $2.7 million worth of training dollars because of the amount of money it costs to train an employee.
Right.
And so those are dollars that our governing board is literally just throwing away because we don't have competitive wages. And so those are the statistics that are important for our...
See, I didn't know that.
Most
idea.
people don't. Yeah. The other... Yeah, I got one more big piece, and this is the most shocking part. So we can talk about code, we can talk about a bunch of things, but a first-year public safety officer in our organization, take home. Do you guys want to guess? Non-specialty, non-P, first year.
Just flat out.
What he's going to take home.
48.
Or she. 48? Okay.
Ooh, wait, really? Like, wait.
52.
Starting pay?
Yeah. First, a full year on the job. And taking the academy out of it.
60 grand.
1648. You won. So close to
What?
$50,000.
50.
No way. Wait a
So-
minute.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, bro, that's an issue.
It's a huge issue.
That's a huge issue.
That's a huge issue.
Yeah,
So
'cause it's like hourly rate is like 23 and some change or something like that.
There's managers at McDonald's and Carl's Jr. making more than that.
it's egregious.
If you're a manager at McDonald's, you're crushing it in comparison.
Or
I'm
even
talking-
In and Out. I'm
or
not
even
saying they're
In-N-Out.
bad jobs, but I'm saying like,
No,
yo, come on.
In and out.
We got people who are coming in new jobs, like you said, risking their lives, right? And we all know, a lot of the public doesn't know that we are exposed to so much. And I remember being in charge of the cancer program for a while and learning, like, dude, the lack of sleep that we get is the number one carcinogen. There's so much that we go through as firefighters, not even talking about mental health and the things we're exposed to in fires. And then you're going to pay them like that's ridiculous, dude. It doesn't surprise me people are leaving.
It's this conversation's super interesting because it is definitely, obviously, from being in the industry, our stances on this are, I'm assuming, overwhelmingly the same when it comes to what we're willing to do and what we're, what we sign off on doing. So it's this is a great talking point because it's one of those things where if you had to explain to someone when you're talking about a raise, we'll just be blunt about it, right? And
Cost of living adjustment.
Cost of living adjustment, yeah, absolutely. Keeping up with inflation, whatever, what have you. Just the reality is that it would take you probably 10 years living in your parents' basement. We're having no bills to be able to accumulate enough money to buy a not nice home in the county that you work in. That's just is what it is. So, and I'm not saying that that's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying anything. This just is what it is. So I always find it interesting when I have to talk to a non-public safety member and, if there's ever conversation that comes up about money, right? Because when they're like, "Oh, you're a firefighter, you must be making $400,000 a year." I read on this this website here that you have some people that are making that kind of money, and I'm like,
Here we go.
I got to explain this. So sit back for a minute. It's going to take a while. But if you talk about numbers, if you talk about the amount of hours, you're talking about people who work 29 days a month at a 24-hour rate. There's no other job other than a public safety type job where you're going to be working these types of hours, not to mention what you're putting your body through, what you're putting all the
job kills us.
Just
straight
the
up.
risk in general is I think used to be the thought of like, okay, that makes sense. These people are willing to risk their lives in hopes to save others, no matter what the cost, right? I don't think that translates as easy nowadays because whether it's just out of popularity, whether it's out of people who just don't care. And I think that there's a lot of that we kind of, as someone from this public sector, have a hard time with explaining stuff, But the reality is it's like, okay, well, even if you don't care, it's a necessity that has to happen because you will care inevitably one day, either yourself, your family, whatever. Either you're in an accident, you're on fire, you have a medical emergency, whatever that is. When that day comes, it's just like the police, right? You don't like the police until you need them. Just the same thing, right? It's like you're not a necessity until you're a necessity, and then you wish there was more of that necessity. And, so it's kind of this weird conundrum when you talk to people and, because it's a popular topic, right? Negotiations, things like that, money, all that good stuff. And the hopes is to move forward and to make things. And it really bugs me saying the fair and equitable thing. Like, that's like not my personality type, but that's the only way to really say it. Because if we're going to keep things equitable within surrounding agencies, then it should be across the board. And I know that size of the department, things contribute in a different way. And like you said, which I thought was very good as far as, it's like, yeah, there's other people that are going to get stuff, but their governing board might be like 3 or 4 people, 5, not 25 or, whatever these larger agencies have. And what I would say, if anyone ever listens, come out and do a ride along. But don't do like a 2-hour ride along. And I'm not going to knock on anybody, but I've been in the scenario where we've had public members come and do ride outs and they show up for 2 hours and they ask us a bunch of questions and tell us why we deserve a raise. And it's just, and in that 2 hours, always we don't run a call, which is the slowest we are for the day, But it's like, you got to see, like, come right out for 24 hours and don't go to a station up in the hills.
Yeah.
Come to a busy spot where we're turning the wheels every single day, all night, and we're dealing with every scenario you can think of, good, bad, and different. You know, the cat stuck in the tree to some tweaker that got hit by a car and needs medical attention or caused an accident and kids are involved and all that stuff, because that's the reality of this job. And I wish that there was more, like, not that everyone needs to understand it, but if you're making the decisions that directly impact a large group of employees that do this for a living, you need to have a better understanding. And that's what, like, hopefully, come on down. You can ride out with me.
So 2 things on that. The first one is when I'm talking to elected officials that govern our agency directly, I paint this picture for them. I say, okay, in the city of San Clemente, one of the largest employers right now is Stance Socks. I'm sure you guys probably have a pair of Stance Socks. They make great socks. This isn't an advertisement for them. But you can come out of college. Let's say you're a Division I athlete, so you're a top tier worker in the community, and you can go to Stance Socks. You show up at the door. They give you a key. They set out a list of expectations for you. They say, in the back, here's a chef. You got $200 a week for the chef. He cooks up whatever you want. He's here 8 to 5. There's a full-size basketball court. There's a skate park. There's a miniature golf.
Wait, seriously?
Oh, yeah, I'm not done yet. And by the way,
Stance Socks.
Stance Socks. Come and go as you please. Just hit these check marks and have your deadlines due by the end of the month, and you're good to go. And there's plenty of room for growth because this organization's growing each and every day. Or you can raise your hand for public service. You could shave your head, show up before the sun comes up, go home after the sun goes down, say yes or no, sir, for 16 weeks straight. Then you finally graduate the academy, and you're in the field, and you're going to make $50,000 a year, risking your life, going on brush fires, going on structure fires, going on lithium-ion battery fires, which was one of our biggest issues going on right now.
One of our members.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to make $50,000 a year for that.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Well, you wonder why they're not getting the numbers.
Which one are you going to do?
Oh, bro, we're going to Stance Socks all day. Let's go, dude.
So
I was just going to ask, how much does Stance Socks pay? Because I'm open to ideas.
They pay more than $50,000 a year. That's
of course
That's
they
good.
do.
Yeah.
Well, then, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of examples like that. I mean, like, when we're kind of throwing out some numbers, like I know that Bank of America was hiring tellers for $25 an hour to start with zero experience and no college education. So I know it's corporate versus, public sector is different. And I get that too. The part that's like crazy is to me is that it's like, okay, we can say, yeah, you're doing it for the love of what you did. That's why you signed up. You wanted the retirement. The retirement was the big thing.
They always dangle that in front of you.
Yeah,
always dangle that.
Hey, you work so much, but how awesome is it going to be when you have... Do you want a drink, or you tell me to change?
No, I'm telling you to change the camera.
Ah,
We've been talking for 2 minutes, so
I'm sorry.
yeah.
But you held the face, dude. You look. But that's something that I think people don't understand. And you're right to a certain extent. We all have made a choice.
Yeah.
And that choice is what it is. I just feel like, me personally, I feel like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But I'm not saying you need to be a millionaire doing this job, because you shouldn't. If you do, it's not because of this job. You're doing it because you got some successful side business going
some
on.
Sweet podcast going.
And
Really doing it.
Hey, maybe one day, baby. Maybe one day. But the love of being able to serve the community is what the driving factor is. But within that time period, it's like you can't survive.
Yeah.
And not in this state, not in this area, And it's like, okay, well, where's the turning point? If you said the average means of like low income in the county of Orange County is $80,000, if the average mean housing price in this county is $1 million, what do you do?
Yeah.
Because making $50,000 before taxes is and it's not everyone's making 50. You do get raises, you do move up. There are opportunities for expansion, but that expansion isn't making $500,000 a year at all. And if you do, it's because you've worked the craziest year humanly possible, meaning you never went home.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of us who don't do that.
Yeah.
Or can't do that, we should say. So I don't know. I don't know what the game plan is. I don't know what the end game is. I don't know how to take the information of that and like open the eyes to the people that are in control, or the people that have the opportunity to change it and change it for the better. Because I feel like it's like, look, we can sit here and people can give sob stories, people can give whatever other stories, but at the end of the day, those people in those positions need to make a decision. And in my opinion, it should be one that benefits the group. Because if we're all here, let's be real here. If you're going to be the face of the public because you want to make things better for your community, take care of everybody.
Yeah.
Take care of them. And I'm sure that's probably a political platform that you run on, not you in general, but I'm saying to those in those positions, it's like, well, prove it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, objectively, our organization has funds available to pay our members. What would you call it? Fair and equitable? A fair and equitable increase in pay. And so that's really what it comes down to. And that's why politics plays such an important role. It's because it's the governing body that makes the decision at the end of the day. It's not the fire chief. I know. It's not the battalion chief. It's the governing board that makes the decision. And if you don't have any say over who's governing you, you're never going to get to the end goal, which is what's going to be best for the residents. Right. Having the top paid firefighters in the county.
And you're going to retain people who are skilled, very well educated, who have those specialties that aren't going to go somewhere else that's going to pay them more. You're going to make our department better, the citizens safer. Yep. I mean, it's just a win-win situation. Yeah. But Chris, did you know that 0 + 0 = 2 Black Hawk helicopters?
Oh.
Yo! Whoa! I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm just saying. I don't know.
You're good at math.
That sounds like Common Core math.
Ow. Woo!
Yes.
Where do we go from there?
Easy.
What do we do now?
Did you guys know that Palm Springs was hiring and that their top step firefighter paramedics make $56 an hour?
Are you serious?
Kid you not.
Well, real quick, back to what I was saying about politics. I liked all the sidebars we got here. That's why it's so important. I think that's why my skill set lends itself to bring the membership forward and delivering us what the membership wants. And so with those small victories we've had locally and some bigger at the county level, I think we're moving that direction. But ultimately, the next 2 years are going to be building years. And so we need to make sure that our membership's not in the same position today in 2 years. Yeah. We want to be in a better position in 2 years. And the way to get there is with politics, plain and simple. And so if we don't have a board that's recognizing that politics is the mission, period, then we're not going to get there. And we're going to be looking down the same barrel we're looking down today. And we need to change.
Oh, yeah, I know. You got to, I don't want to say play the game, but you do in a sense.
Absolutely.
And it's not play the game as in you're doing whatever you need to do to get what you want, but to make things work, right? And, I don't know how much I should go into that as far as funds available, type situations. But that's going back to what I was talking about earlier with the transparency of things, right? So when that knowledge is out there, and if it's not, if it was supposed to be, I think is the bigger statement in that. But it's like, let's be real. Shit happens. People find out about stuff. And when it is, I don't think it's something that's bad to be like, hey guys, this is what we found out. Okay. Yeah. So now we're sitting in a better position. This is the game plan, and going back to with the just being, like you said, communication, right? Keeping everyone in on it, letting people know, because then that'll eliminate those conspiratorial processes that'll start, and then it starts turning, because really what it does at the end of the day is it breaks the unionship of everything. And I'm not sure if unionship is a word. It sounds good
it's
coming
a word
out.
now.
It is now.
Hey, that's J-licious. That'll be my first album that I cut, Unionship. But that's what it does. It fractures the group, and I'm not saying there's no perfect world. There's no perfect scenario. There's always going to be disagreements. You're always going to have sect of people. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Is that?
Did you say sex?
I think I know what you're trying to say.
Sex.
But
the word sect.
Sect.
What did I say? Sex?
I don't know.
I don't know. Whatever.
Whatever. It sounds similar. You know where I was going with it. Yeah. Either way, that will always be a thing. And but I think to combat that, to keep the group open and knowledgeable, is to tell them what the hell's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so you guys have a great setup here, obviously, with these fancy cameras and the lights and the microphones and the headsets. But all it takes is an iPhone, right?
Oh my God.
Film a great video with an iPhone, has great audio, and you can disseminate that information to the membership.
Yes.
Some of the other things that I want to do, aside from just filming video updates and sending it out to the membership monthly, is do Coffee with Chris monthly. So I'll just pick a coffee house in an area that's centrally located to multiple units, so units can come down on duty, guys can come off duty if they want as well, and we can just have a Q&A like we're having right now, and people can get the information what's going on. I want to do quarterly meetings outside of the Union Hall, so south, north, and east.
Oh, man.
So one meeting every quarter, we're going to go south, we're going to go north, we're going to go east, and we're going to have a meeting in an area where it's easier for the membership to get there so they can feel more involved.
I like that, dude.
Yep. And then the last one, obviously, is just treat everybody with respect and dignity. We all have different baggage. We all come with different backgrounds. But at the end of the day, the union is here for the members. And so everybody needs to be treated with respect. And that's a fundamental key for me.
Dude, I like that. What about Waves with Chris?
Waves with Chris?
We'll surf
I'm
North Orange
in.
County, then South Orange
I'm
County. dude.
100% in. Yeah. I don't think that sounds as cool, but I like it.
Coffee with Chris
yeah.
flows, man.
Dude, Coffee with Chris, it just
Yeah.
rolls off the tongue. No, I think what the basis of this comes down to is, and I know you believe this, but the importance of unions. And we have a very young fire department, very young, and I don't think a lot of them understand the importance of attending meetings, getting your voice heard, and knowing the importance of being heard,
Yeah.
but also supporting your leadership and knowing that they were voted in, how important it is that they fight for our working conditions, wages, rights, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's so, I'll always believe in it. I believe in, whoever's in there, I'm always going to wish them well and want them to do well. Even our board now. It is
Yeah.
what it is. They're working hard. Those guys are putting in hours, man. And a lot of them are married. They have young kids. They're promoted. There's so much that goes on with it. It's a thankless job. So shout out to our board right now. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
But it's one of those
absolutely.
things. It's so important. The last thing I want to ask you is, what's your drive, man? You're a well-spoken individual. You've accomplished a lot at a young age. Is it because maybe the way you're like coming from a single mom, or is it something else? But you seem like you have a solid drive.
Yeah.
What is that from?
So you kind of hit on it actually in your comment about the younger members don't understand the importance of the union. So I'm a third generation union worker. My grandfather was IBEW for 55 years. My mom was a Teamster for 30 years. I worked for the Longshoremen Union before I got hired as a firefighter. I'm a big supporter of unions. This membership has given me everything, whether past, present, or future. So it's given me union representation when I had, I'll just say it, a shitty supervisor who thought he could do more than he was capable of doing. I had representation by the union that put that manager in his place. When it comes to wages, hours, and working conditions, all the work that was put in by the members before us and the executive boards before us, that's all benefited me as a member. And so I think since I've been hired in this organization, there's been a systematic dismantling of the membership. So it started on day one. As a probationary firefighter, in my mind, it was an expectation to attend general membership meetings. And I can tell you straight up, I was at a big house. I went to my first meeting. I came out, and a guy pulled me aside, and he goes, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" I go,
Really?
yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I heard you were at the membership meeting. I go, "Oh, yeah, sir, I was." "Well, why do you think you have a voice?" And I go, "I don't have a voice, but I want to know what's going on."
Support. I'm just showing
I'm a member.
support. Yeah.
So we sit down at dinner that night, and apparently he told somebody else that I'd show up to the general membership meeting, and it ended up being a dissemination of information. They were excited. I was the only person in a multi-unit house that attended the last general membership meeting, and I had taken notes, and I proceeded to give those notes to everybody at the table.
My man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And so I literally had two of the captains on duty that day say, "Hey, man, thanks for going to that meeting. Thanks for providing these notes." None of it was opinion. It's all factual based on what actually happened.
Right.
And so I think in our organization, we don't do a good enough job of fostering those new members to let them know how important it is to show up to the meetings.
Yeah.
You have that and combined with what's going on nationally, right? Most labor unions, they're not you and me, right? When you sit at the table, you're dealing with a person who is a full-time union worker, right? And so that can be interpreted two ways. For us, that means it's a guy or girl who actually works in the fire station. 24/7, they're working with you, so they know exactly what your job is, and they're representing a finite group of people that work on fire engines, fire trucks, and a couple medic vans, right? That's what we do. When you look at big labor, right, if you're a framer, if you're an electrician, these union members, they don't work construction. They're not in the field. So they're collecting a check based on your labor and the stuff you're doing. And so I think that's a differentiator for us as firefighters that makes our representation unique.
Solid point. Absolutely.
So I think our members need to know that. When you look at the the systematic dismantling of membership, it starts out with the new hires. So we need to encourage them to show up to the meetings. If you're a leader in this organization, or even if you're a career firefighter in this organization, you should be attending these meetings, and you should be telling your new firefighters to attend these meetings. You don't have to ask questions if you're new, but show up. We have beverages, we have food, it's a great union hall that our members have built, and so you need to take advantage of that.
I think that I want to touch on something real quick. You brought this up. I thought it was really good. Just as far as encouraging the new members, in my experience, that you'll come across times where you work with people that are coming from either another organization where maybe they made a lot less money, or a different profession where maybe this is a significant amount of financial gain that they're in this moment and from where they're at in their career. And the conversation comes up quite often of why, when it comes to like negotiations, things like that, or when it's contract years and things like that coming up, like if you're content with where you're at, what is it that should make you want to be involved? And I think it's a really good question to talk to, whether they're new members or let's say, under 5 years, or, this change and everything's great and all this good stuff, right? I find it a fascinating topic because they're right. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting because if you came from somewhere where now you're in a position where you feel the agency that you work for is like, dude, this is the best things have ever been for me. Why should I care really on whether we gain or not? And I think that's when you have people that have had experience in this and, from the union down of why this is important. And I know, like, look, you can say, hey, look, because, you never know what the future brings and everything's good until it's not, which is like most things in life. But it does hold very true, and having come from an agency before that really struggled in that department. And it's like, look, I can assure you that everything's cool. And like once you get past that honeymoon phase a little bit, the game plan or shouldn't be that 20 years from now, you're on the same step that you are now.
Yeah.
That in the future that like, look, we're there's a lot of agencies that are fortunate that have strong financial backing. So maybe during recessions, things like that, they won't take as big of a hit, which is a grateful thing for sure. But at the end of the day is that you don't want to remain stagnant or give up things. That's a key one.
Yeah.
Because and Tim can attest to this because we both came from the same agency, but we had the experience of trying to wheel and deal with negotiation stuff of giving things up in hopes to get stuff and never getting things back. It just turned into this game where they would take something away and then they would give it back to you after you do what they did.
Yeah.
Straight up, you give it up, you ain't getting it back.
Well, that's what our being younger in that agency, the people that had been there for a long time, they always preach that, right? It's like you don't want to give it up because if you give it up, it's 10 times harder to get it back.
Yeah.
Whether that's some version of hours or working conditions, whatever, not even just wage, right? But so that's like when I hear those questions in the field or with the newer employees, things like that, it's always like, listen, I understand and be thankful. There's no reason that you can't totally appreciate with where you're at right now. There's nothing that says you're wrong, and you shouldn't feel bad if you're sitting next to someone bitching about money.
Yeah.
And that someone's probably me. Let's be real here. But I'm stoked for you that things are great. Just know that like this is a dynamic thing that doesn't end. Like it's constantly and moving forward of trying to be like, hey, look, we're finding a better avenue, or like, and hey, this time maybe if it's not for money, it's for time. If it's not for time, it's for, hey, we want new stations or we want new equipment or whatever to better serve the community to keep, these firefighters ready to go.
Yeah.
When the bell goes off and having all the necessity to make them at their best when they do respond for these potentially, life-threatening scenarios. So I hope that with, that we can key in on people like that, because I feel like sometimes getting buy-off on the group is tough when you have half the group that's kind of like, I'm just happy to be here. And then the other half is probably super scorned and like, this nothing's going to happen ever. You know what I mean? Like you got to kind of always tote between those two lines.
Yeah. So you hit a bunch of points there. The big one I think is even if this is the best it's ever been for you, right? There is that sense that at any time they could take away whatever they want to take away or try to take away. And so at a minimum, you need to be there fighting to make sure we maintain what we have. And I think as a whole, and you guys came along a little more recently than I have, we've been resting on our laurels because of the good work that was done by the previous executive boards.
Right.
So we had the ability to sit at the stations and not engage at the level which we should have been. Myself included. I'll blame myself 100%. I haven't been involved in the union up until this last year significantly because I was focused on other things. Yeah. And I think a lot of the members get that. But even from a small point of view, so the first condo that I ever bought, I had to do a full demo. I think it was a crack house. I picked up the phone and I called 5 union buddies. We got a trailer and we had the whole place demoed in 6 hours.
Hell yeah.
And that all comes from having a membership that's engaged with each other. You talked about committees or talking about equipment. Like if I have a video or a podcast concern, right? And I don't know you guys, I don't know to go to you for podcast information, right? Yeah. And so even if the things are the best they can be, there's always going to be some interest that you can get involved in or that you can help the membership with that's going to progress this membership forward. We all have different interests out there. And if we come together with those interests, we're going to crush this thing and push it out of the park, man. Real quick, I just want to get back to my comment about dismantling our membership. So starting from probation, we don't do a good job of telling members they need to show up to general membership meetings and get information. Coming right out of after I got hired was the recession. So we were talking about really just freezing positions, not losing any members, not taking any substantial pay cuts. And so that hit our membership. Then we took on 2 additional large organizations that took whatever culture we had, good or bad, and it changed it, right? Mm-hmm. And then right out of that, we had, because of policy adopted by our governing board, we had policy that understaffed our agency. So it forced our members to work 40% more than they were expected to work. So we work a 56-hour work week, and then they piled 40% additional more work on top of our members. Yeah. So now you're asking people to raise their hand when you have this confluence of all these issues that have really made it near impossible for people to come to meetings. And so that's where we're at today in 2022. And that's why we're staring down the barrel, being out of contract for multiple months after we've gone through the first pandemic in 100 years. A few of our members have been burned up. We deal with some of the largest fires in the state's history. And we have a governing board that thinks we're not deserving of a fair and equitable contract increase. And that's how we got to this position. And so I think now is incumbent upon us as members that are in the middle of their career to re-engage and to make sure that the future members, even though it's the best it's ever been for some of them, gets better. Because at the end of the day, you look at all the objective measures like inflation, like the cost of housing, like minimum wage going up. We have not kept up with a single one of those
not at all
issues.
Right.
And you compile that with the fact that there's funds available, right? So that's where I'm at.
That's a big point there, Chris. The funds available. The funds available.
Yes.
Let's say that one more time.
Man,
No,
I
I'm just
like
kidding.
helicopters. I don't know what you guys.
Helicopters are great.
I bet you can buy those and help everyone out.
I can't land on hospital pads or don't have pilots who return to flying. Whatever, dude. It's all good.
Did I hit your question though on why?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you totally did.
Okay.
No, you totally did. I appreciate it, man. But Chris, we're wrapping this up, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. Real quick, what I also want to say is, if the union ever needs help with some of their videos and sound, tell them to hit me up because some are a little rough.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, the sound.
We're always looking for volunteers that want to assist with that. So, and that's real quick, man. That's one of the things that I want to do. So I first off, I'm interested in hiring a PR firm that's going to help us with our social media and our outreach, right?
Yeah.
And then really branding for us as a whole and what we do for the community, because we serve so many people. I think a lot of times it get lost what we do day in, day out, and even the slower stations out there aren't as slow as they used to be. I mean, it's crazy. So our members are doing so much good for the community on a daily basis. And yeah, there's a PIO agency and yeah, we have social media and there's all these things, but we could be doing more and we need to be doing more.
Yeah. And it's not that hard. I mean, you know what I'm involved in. It's definitely, it's a brand, dude. It's an image, and you got to stay on it. And people don't understand the importance of social media now.
Yep.
It being putting stuff out. So that's why I said, like, hey, I saw some of the videos, like, love our union. I'm like, God dang, dude, the sound's rough. I'm like, dude, we could fix this real easy, guys.
Yeah. We're all doing our best, man.
Yeah.
We're all doing our best.
Totally.
And
we're totally doing our best.
There's definitely room for improvement, and I think that we can, and just to touch up on what you're talking about, a lot of it is the community outreach stuff. I mean, I know we're kind of poo-pooing on the previous agency a little bit, but what they thought, or what I thought they did good was is that we constantly did stuff in the public. You know, you rattle off a few things like the pancake breakfast, tons of public outreach programs within the school system.
Oh, do you remember when we did the picnic? I can't remember what we called it. We had like a picnic, a community picnic in the park.
Picnic in the park.
By,
Dude, everybody
by
does that.
84s, but we had a rented fire engine that was giving people rides around the park. It was rad.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it is
that's
awesome.
cool, dude.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
It worked out great. You know what we also need to start? Orange County Firefighter Surf Association.
Okay.
Yeah,
Even though I just
think,
said that totally. Yeah.
but Orange County is a location where there are fire departments.
They
so
do
it's
have
not a
good
big
surf
deal.
there, I've heard.
Yeah, but
The
anyways,
surf is really good.
I was going to say we need to start a surf association or a surf club, I should say.
Club.
Club.
We can start it. We'll start it today. Today.
Orange Surf Club.
Orange Surf Club.
Yeah.
Hey, I like it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I just think we do. I've met a lot of surfers. I'm like, dude, we can do a 1 month up north, 1 month down south.
So real quick on that note, post 9/11, what we did for I think probably 15 years after 9/11, we would host FDNY guys every year, and we would take them surfing.
oh, rad.
And so that's
That's
some
a
of the-
thing?
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's
man.
awesome.
They'd come out. We'd have soft tops. We'd have wetsuits. It was great. And so those are the things that we used to do that we need to get back to.
That would be so cool, dude. I've talked to probably 10 to 12 dudes working at different stations. They're in. Like,
Yeah.
we need to start one. Let's do it. Well, let's go.
If I could just milk you guys for 40 more minutes, we'll get to that 3-hour podcast. You want me to get back to my great-great-great-grandfather? 'Cause
This
I can.
isn't. It's
Are we
funny. People say
that
that.
long?
This actually it shows that we're now we're past hour 1, so it's hour 19.
Oh,
Confusing.
got it.
You're
Okay.
going into hour 2. Is what it's showing.
Well,
you.
we got plenty more time then.
Oh yeah, we're just cruising. I was
Yeah.
like, I have the questions. If you
Oh,
want.
we got to keep it. Yeah, we keep it. But
You
we
want to run through? Want to run through a couple of these?
Yeah.
They're nothing crazy.
yeah. So is that the end of the podcast?
I had a
Chris?
proofreader.
They're nothing crazy, dude.
Let me just check. I brought some notes here. If you
I
guys
don't
didn't
think these
notice.
are going to be on your notes there,
No?
Chris.
Oh, well, he asked if I was done. I think is what you were asking, right? Like if there's anything.
No. If there's anything else you want to add, dude, go for it, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Let me just take.
We got a
look
couple
here.
questions, though. We'll look through those real quick.
Oh, you want me to read?
I do want to bring one more thing up.
Yeah.
This is getting way into the weeds of things, but I think it's important. So right now, the way our membership voting works is every 2 years we have to elect the entire board, all 10 members.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an opportunity for a massive brain dump every 2 years, which good, bad, or indifferent, I'm not a fan of. So one of the things that I want to do an initiative bring forward is staggering elections. So for the membership, it'd be more work. We'd have to vote every year, but you'd vote for 4 1 year, 6 the next, 4 1 year, 6 the next. So that way there's at least a continuum of education or a base knowledge level there that doesn't change.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're not losing all 10 members at once in any given time. So I think
that's-
right now we have seven new members coming on, regardless of how you cut this.
Okay.
And so there's 3 people hanging out.
Now, does that require changing? This might sound dumb, but bylaws? or
Yes.
no?
Yeah. Bylaws. We got to
Does-
go to the IFF to get approval. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah,
Sure,
you're
I guess
fine.
that's some rules. The other thing too that I want to push is you guys are probably aware of this is the 201 rights. So bringing functional revenue back to the organization. So we have multiple jurisdictions that have the ability to start up an AO program tomorrow if they wanted to. So we've already been preliminary talks. So we're not just about draining the community of funds. We're actually looking at ways to give back to the
That is
community.
a great way of generating
revenue.
Absolutely.
Cost reduction.
Wow, I had not heard about this from
Yeah.
you yet.
Yeah.
I think the AO program is something that we. I'll skip the name. I think that
Yeah.
most agencies should do because it's an opportunity to get people to work for their organization as well as initiate a vetting process.
Yep.
And not to mention that now your training starts there at a much cheaper rate, and you get an opportunity to make the in-house feel right.
Yeah.
And I feel like so much of it's kind of an old school process a little bit, which is not. It's like it is and it isn't. There just isn't a lot of places that do that anymore.
Yeah.
And when you have a large agency doing it, I mean, the turnover, we've talked about it multiple times already, just having turnover rate and people staying, going, or leaving somewhere, coming here, not working out, going back, things like that. Now you have the opportunity to from the bottom level, bringing them up within that organization. And so when they are ready to get hired full-time, they know it.
Yeah.
Right? I would assume the success rate at that point would be high. I know Huntington Beach does that.
Yeah, there's a
and
few
it's a
that
very
do
good
that.
program.
Yeah, there's a few that do it, and they've actually had higher success rate with their probationaries because they teach them first how to be a good probationary firefighter. They don't come in blind.
Yeah.
and they've had a lot of success with that. I think it's a good program, and it brings in revenue.
So what's old is new again. So a lot of the communities in Southern California are switching back to this ambulance program, right? Okay. And it's a win-win-win for the elected officials because it does a couple things. One, it increases service. So we all know that during COVID and after COVID, the ambulance companies were understaffing their units. A, because it was hiring practices, because nobody wanted to come work for minimum wage and expose themselves to COVID-19. Yeah. And then B, it's a cost-generating model, and so they can save money, and they're going to make more money when they have to pay less people. So you get better service, and then those dollars that are being spent come directly back to the community they serve.
Right.
And so you can pay down costs for fire services in other areas. So it's a win-win. And that's why when we talk about the 5 communities that we serve that have the ability tomorrow, they could turn on the light switch and we could start serving them with ambulances as well as paramedics. They don't have to go through any vetting process other than to say, Jordan, I would love for you to start driving an ambulance tomorrow. And I say that facetiously because Jordan obviously is not going to drive one, but ambulance operators would. We need to get behind it. So we already have some elected officials who are on board. Now my 4th C about communication with executive management, it's getting executive management on board to do the same thing. We've done it in the past. We had cities that already had ambulance programs that we serviced, that we actually managed, and we had cities that we didn't manage, but they had ambulance programs as well. So we've done it in the past. We need to get back to doing it.
I think that's an awesome idea, and I really, really, really hope that we push forward with that. And I wanted to. You mentioned it earlier. We talked about it for a brief second. I didn't say anything, but the privatized side of this, right, with the private medics or ambulances, what have you. Some of them are good, but I used to work for a private company, and I'll leave them nameless. And I can assure you that the devotion of like professional output is increased tenfold by being a public entity.
Yes.
By coming from the fire department side, you deal with people, and a lot of that can be handled within house, right? Because it's the philosophy of which you're training to get the position, and that will influence you to be the best at what you can be. And like, I'm not saying that every private medic out there or every private ambulance attendant isn't great, because there's a ton of great ones. But overall, it's a lot different on that side. And having had worked for one of those agencies before, and this is way back, I mean, things change, but I can assure you that the level of care is higher from the public side versus the private industry side. And that's just because the buy-off on what you're doing is not there on that end of it. And this is my experience, my opinion, so I'm not speaking on behalf of everybody, but when that, you know, because that topic gets thrown out there. It's like, oh, if they go private medics and then they're going to push out and they're going to change the fire department and all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? You want to see some crazy shit? I'm like, make them private medics.
Yeah.
Hire a bunch of people who did just enough to get the card, and now they're at a job where they're going to get paid significantly less, and now they're dealing with everyone's lives.
Yeah. See
how that works out. I promise that it will not be as beneficial. And I don't know. I could say I promise because I don't give a shit. I'll say whatever. But at the end of the day, like, dude, that's like when I hear that argument, it always makes me laugh because I remember vividly the company I worked for, and I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? And like, because there was no pride in what you were doing. You're just showing up for a paycheck. It was like, well, this job sucks. You know, like I'm dealing with feces and vomit and all this stuff, and and I like the empathetic response is not there. But for the folks that work for the public side, it's like you've invested so much time and effort to get hired, and once you're there, you want to do the best you can do, and I think that is shown within the care levels that you're giving. So when that argument always comes up, I'm like, you people really want to do that? Okay, so let's say if you can save a little bit of money to do that, but then let's say your success rate on saving people drops by 20%. How do you put your name to that?
We're talking about people's lives.
Yeah,
I think
right.
That's the difference. We're talking about a for-profit model versus a for-service model, and that's ultimately what it comes down to. I use this example all the time because I think we all worked for private ambulance. I got dispatched to a full arrest. Somebody's heart wasn't breathing, and it was someone's father. It was
someone's heart stopped.
35. Right? Yeah. So what did I say? Stop breathing?
Yeah. No, you're good. No, it's just to clarify for people listening around the world.
Once again, I don't have a P next to my name, so I have an E. Thanks for the clarification.
No, you're good. My brain stopped crying.
Yeah.
Thinking. What?
Yeah. We were dispatched 35 miles away.
Get out of here.
No,
Right.
not
How long was
exaggerating.
that response time?
At least 35 minutes.
It was during primetime traffic. We didn't make it on scene. They called the patient.
Oh, jeez.
And
that's sad.
that was strictly based on for-profit system because they had contract for this area in this part of the county and this area in this part of the county and nowhere in the middle. And we were the closest available resource for that contract. And that's something that never happens in public safety for service. So
Well,
I'll
I
tell
bet
you what,
if
if that was my family,
Yeah.
I'd be pissed.
absolutely.
I'd be super pissed.
Absolutely.
Like, what the heck is going on?
Yep.
And you pay for what you get.
Yeah. Yep.
Straight up.
Exactly.
Yeah, how many times have we known when you cheap out on something, you end up paying more in the long run?
Yep.
You pay for what you get. You want public service. Our expectations, at least where we work, are high, and we train to a very, very high level. And I know what you mean by privatized, because I did the same thing in the off season from the Forest Service. Yeah. My God, dude, the shenanigans and stuff, and the amount of I don't give a crap that was going on was so high.
Off season.
Yeah, off season. What's the off season?
Just make sure.
Yeah, off season.
Off season.
You fucking with me right now?
No, you said it. You said off season.
But yeah, it's. I mean, dude, you don't want private medics.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great stepping stone, but you don't want that in your city. But Chris, is there anything else you'd like to add? Because we're getting close on time, dude.
We're getting to that 3-hour mark.
No, that's not 3 hours.
No, hey guys, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. And at the end of the day, like I said, moving forward, we got to know that the union works for the membership, and
Yes.
we're here for the membership. It's an open door policy. Everybody has ideas and opinions, and they all need to be brought to the board so we can progress this membership forward. And so I just hope that I get the opportunity to serve the membership in this capacity because I think we'll all be better off for it.
Well done, dude. Mr. Whitehouse himself, dude. Jordan, you got a couple questions. Let's do it real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, baby.
No, thank you.
We just at the end, dude. Lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Fun questions.
Shows that you're a real person.
I'm not a real person.
And actually,
Okay.
and it shows your thought process too, and some wacky stuff.
Can I
All right.
Barstool Sports? You guys sponsored by them? Is that what's going on here?
Maybe one day.
We might be. We might be.
Reach out.
Was that stock company? Stance Stocks?
Yeah, Stance.
Yeah, they
Sounds like I might be getting a side gig at
I might be
Stance
applying
here
for a
pretty
job.
soon.
Might be applying for a job over
In
there,
the world's
dude.
greatest city, I'll just tell you that. So
Dude. Okay, so I'll just go in order of, they're all kind of silly. But first question is, poll the internet. Said, would you rather be hairless or never be able to cut your hair?
Ooh, that's interesting.
We talking about no eyebrows?
Oh,
Let's
that's
say- let's
interesting.
say-
Yeah, is that full body hairless?
We'll
Does it
just say top of your head. Let's say top of your head.
Picture here shows a completely hairless person, like no eyebrows.
It looks like an
nothing.
oven mitt. Are you sure that's a person?
It doesn't look up with me.
And they're kind of older too. Both the pictures are weird.
What if I'm balding and then I don't need to cut my hair
But
anymore?
what if you never bald and your hair always grows?
I think
That'd be rough, dude. You get
probably for the
some.
best. Then you
Yeah,
have a
but-
man bun. I'm not a man bun guy.
No.
Hairless? I got a really odd shaped head though. Is the problem? I got moles all over.
I think
all
you're-
over this.
I think you're fascinating. Really? You're fascinating. You look great, bro.
Thanks.
You're fine.
Yeah.
I think I'd go hairless, dude.
Really?
I couldn't stand having a bunch of hair.
Oh, dude.
Imagine not being able to cut your nose hairs, ear hairs. You would look insane.
Oh yeah, but then you'd have such a big beard and mustache that it all kind of just blend together.
That. Mine's
Yeah.
all scraggly. Think about all those Groms serving now. They always doing the hair flip. That bitch be annoying too.
I've never had long hair, and that's like the one thing I wish I could do, like a 360 hair whip while I'm surfing. Just
Well, I look like Kenny G if I grow my hair out, so I'm good, dude.
that's
not happening.
legit. See, but I have like like my head is awkwardly shaped,
Yeah.
so like I would just, people would probably just veer away from me. But I don't know how much better it would be if I was just
So,
really.
what do you say?
hairy
You going
and-
bald? You go bald?
I'm going hairy,
Hairless?
baby.
You going hairy?
Oh yeah.
I think I said hairless.
Yeah, you said hair. I'm going hairless, dude.
Okay. Well,
Hairless on that one.
I'll take all your shampoo then.
Last one.
All right, let's see. Are there any universally loved movies that you don't like?
Ooh.
Don't like. Well, I wouldn't think they were universally loved. So that's a trick question because I don't like it. Right?
What's the
Okay, so maybe like there's movies that everyone else seems to like, but you just don't care for it.
You throw one out there. I'm trying to think.
what's Twilight?
Twilight. That's the vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I don't know how people got into that so much, man.
don't know that I hate Twilight. Can you hate Twilight?
I mean,
Okay, first
I'd
question
lie
is
if
how
I
you
said I
watched
haven't seen
Twilight.
them.
Oh, yeah,
as
bro.
I have.
100%.
Get out of here, really?
Straight up, dude. I'll tell you a little
That
story
wolf
here.
guy's pretty hot,
Bro.
dude. Just
Nah,
saying.
he's got a square jaw, full 90-degree angle, dude. Who is that? Patterson?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both good looking.
I feel like a lot of the new DC movies suck.
They do. I'm not interested in them at all.
Yeah, I try to watch them when I'm bored, and you're like, this is not good.
Really? I was all about Aquaman, but I have like a man
Oh,
crush
Jason
on Jason
Momoa?
Momoa.
Ooh, yeah, bro.
Remember hair? I picked the hair.
Yeah, you're probably balding under that hat anyway.
I am. That's why I'm wearing a hat. Thank you. Wow.
I'm
Ouch.
balding. Not really.
Where?
Nowhere.
I don't see it.
No.
All right. Is that so? Twilight? You said-
I mean, that's kind of, I don't know.
What's like in pop culture now that everybody's watching? There's
What about
gotta
the
be
90s? Let's go back to the 90s.
I got
Let's
one.
go back to the 90s.
And this might have been in I think it was late 90s. I am not a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
And
my 4.5-year-old's gonna kick the shit out of you, dude.
yeah, no, I know, and it's a very popular movie, and there's it's like kind of a cult classic, really, if you will. And I mean, look, it's Nightmare Before Christmas, Disney, right?
It's got to be. It's on Disney Plus. So.
And it's at that when they do the
it's at Disneyland.
Disneyland,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I don't know what it is. The claymation stuff, it freaks me out. So I wasn't that young when it came out, and it scared me. And I kind of didn't like the association of Christmas and being scared and being synonymous. So I was kind of I never dug it. I didn't get into it. I just kind of hated on it. And so that would be my answer.
Okay, what's your answer?
I think I'm going to stick with Twilight, but I'm trying to think of 90s.
You like Twilight,
I
dude.
don't like
Stop.
He was just
Yeah, it's like
crying about Patterson and his
No.
jawline.
I
dude.
mean, it's 90 degrees.
Yeah,
dude.
oh,
It's
bro,
90.
it's cut.
A lot of men would kill for that Greek jawline. You know what I'm saying, dude?
It's no doubt.
I don't know. I don't know, dude. What about Conan? I know a lot of dudes like Conan, the original one, dude.
Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah, with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
There's another one in that era that's kind of like that where there's it starts out with the baby floating down the river. That movie sucked.
Moses?
Oh. No.
The Bible?
No.
Jeez, Chris.
What's
What's that movie?
No. Never Ending Story? Is that a movie? I hate that movie.
Okay.
You can suck
Really?
at Never Ending Story.
Dude, isn't Valcor in that, dude?
That's with the dog, right?
yeah, the big flying
Yeah.
dog.
Dog's the only part I like in that whole movie.
So
Everything
that-
else,
But that was that era of the Labyrinth.
yes.
And it's just all these weird
Yes.
Muppet
Bowie.
Jim Henson type stuff. Yeah. I was
it's just
out on
popped in my
that.
head. Hot Doggin'. You guys ever seen that with the ski movie in the 80s?
Dude, yes.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Great
Remember-
movie.
What about Breaking? You remember
Yeah.
Breaking?
I don't think I've seen
It's
that
about
one.
breakdancing, dude.
Okay.
In L.A.
Yeah.
Oh.
I gotta check that one
Oh,
out.
you guys have seen Rad, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
Or North Shore. The waves right
Yes,
here. You don't
yes,
want to
yeah.
be here, bro.
Turtle.
Johnny the Tsunami. We were talking about surf movies.
Yeah.
The
So-
ultimate Disney surf movie.
Johnny Tsunami, I will not watch again because I think it's going to ruin it for me because I used to
No,
love
hear
that
me out.
movie.
Hear me out. I have Disney Plus. and
Yeah.
I put it on. It ruins it.
It does.
You realize how terrible the shots are, and even the surfer who is Johnny Tsunami. It's completely not the main dude. You could see the wig. You can tell it's not
Oh.
him.
He's got a wig
Yeah,
on. It's
don't-
tips
yeah.
up, squid.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You watched this thing on repeat?
No, I just watched it a lot when I was younger. It was one of
Don't
my
watch it.
favorite
keep,
little shows.
Keep that joy in history of that movie.
Okay.
In your head.
There
I
is-
watched it. It ruined it.
They can't make any surf movie and have the editing be right. So my cousin is an editor in Hollywood, and he was talking to me about doing surf, and it's the same thing. So he goes, "You do a wide pan of the guys on the board in the water," and I'm like, "So in a pool?" He's like, "Yeah, in a pool." And then you do a close up of them paddling in the pool. I go, "Okay." And he goes, "Then you cut to you're cutting constantly, and you cut to the stunt man standing up on a completely different board, and then you do another cut to him going the wrong way in the barrel." And it's at Doheny, and you're like, "What?"
Like, don't eat as a
And he
barrel,
goes,
dude.
"That it's in the book." He's like,
That's
"That's how
so
you have
rad.
to cut it." That's what they do.
That's so rad. Yeah. No,
Dang.
dude. Speaking of which, should I tell you my 3 S's?
No.
Surfing, skydiving, and sleep. That's pretty much how I live my life, dude.
Ooh. What happened with the Eros, dude?
Dude, the pandemic hit, remember?
Yeah, I know.
Dude, it ruined that whole campaign. I mean, they did. There was I think $400 or something like that. But I gave it to the charity.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that charity, Fallen Firefighters or Iverson Foundation.
Yeah. Nice.
But I use them actually as engineer. I do.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
me
yeah,
too.
they were
They're my
great,
clipboard
dude.
right now.
Yeah, they work great.
Yeah, they're good.
Seriously.
I don't even know what
You
you're
should
talking
get a
about. Sick.
They're acoustic.
Actually, you don't drive anymore, so you don't need a pair.
Yeah, acoustic.
Did you ever
earbuds.
drive? Did you drive?
For 6 years.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay.
Stupid. You guys, these guys are professional button pushers. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Whoa. Whoa.
Tim.
I don't know if you heard my radio voice, but I do talk very well.
Nah, you guys have an
Try
I'm
to
just kidding,
keep
dude.
it strictly professional.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, dude.
I try not to use big words.
Oh, look,
Yeah.
where am I going? Where's my water supply?
Boom.
Pump at 150, pick at 350.
Yeah. You know how many people I get to the right location?
I know. It's very
Every
important,
day I
huh?
get somebody to the right location, a place they've never been before.
That's right.
And then the guys behind me, they save somebody's life.
It's amazing.
Doesn't get better than that.
It's amazing.
It's
Yeah.
true.
I'm a key component to what happens on that rig, guys.
Oh, absolutely. You just
And if you need foam, give me a call. Dude.
Yeah,
440
I like it,
gallons of
dude.
it, baby.
Heyo,
Anyways, Chris,
fishing game.
yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, taking the time to come out here, man, and just talk about your life, be so open in your beliefs and what you want to do. Thank you so much. You have an open seat. Anyone board, union stuff, anytime they want to come on here, we keep this open to everybody.
Awesome.
As long as the schedule is open because we have a huge waiting list now. So
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thanks for having
I think it's a neat opportunity to hopefully get to talk, not as structured. Try to keep it a little loose, but I think there's a lot of great things that you said, man, and hopefully people can listen and those ideas can be implemented moving forward.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I'm a big fan of Howard Stern and long form discussion. So,
heck yeah, dude.
the problem with today, real quick, and a lot of the members that have been reaching out to me is everybody wants a quick answer on the text message, right? Like, tell me this right now. And it's like, okay, well, the question you just asked necessitates a 45-minute response. So I can
Right.
text you 45 minutes, or I can pick up the phone and talk to you.
Right.
And we could talk through it. And even if we disagree, you're probably going to see a lot of my points as valid, and I'm going to see a lot of your points as valid. And now you just inform me, and I can take that information and push it forward, and hopefully push us all forward.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of that gets lost, and that's why actually podcasts probably are doing a lot better than most people would have expected.
They really are, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, even for us, the amount of downloads. The crazy part is, we don't advertise.
Yeah.
And you're going to be heard globally.
Yeah.
For some reason, we're huge in India. We get a lot of downloads
the
in China.
UK,
Are you
right?
paying for bots,
UK?
dude?
No, dude.
No.
It's
Oh, bro,
cool.
you guys must have an East Coast following because I noticed he was talking about living in his parents' basement. Like, there's not a basement within 2,000 miles of here, bro.
Yeah, I was
Like,
just
who are you
shout out
pandering
to an
to?
old buddy.
I don't know.
Also, how do you get the rights for the Let's Go when Tom Brady has a Let's Go?
That's super funny that you bring that up, Chris.
go ahead, Jordan.
Let's
take
get
it.
this straight. So just so everyone's aware, because I've heard this before, they're like, hey, Tom Brady, it's Let's Go with Tom Brady is the actual name of the show.
Oh.
However, the Let's Go podcast, ! Was created 3 years ago with, it's legal.
Yeah,
like we have an actual copyright for it. So, Tom, if you want to work out a deal,
I did
Give us a
notice
call,
Let's Go podcast.com is available. I don't think you guys knew that. or not.
Actually, I don't want to say it just yet, but there is some pretty big changes coming for the new year.
yeah.
Good things, very very good things. A
Nice.
bigger studio, a lot more. We're gonna say professional photos taken, website, all that. It's going good.
Yeah, but just the ability to we can do multiples.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Yeah.
an 8 mic setup, dude.
Whoa.
We're gonna hear.
Oh, yeah. Well, so real quick, while we're talking about that, let's just pitch you guys for a minute. So I was watching this thing on the YouTube, and there was like multiple people that seemed like they're regulars. That isn't you two guys.
Oh, we have a monthly review. So once a month, which is usually the last week of the month or first week. We record last week of the month, and it comes out the first week of the next month. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's the monthly review.
Okay.
Monthly review is we go back of say like all of September, and we go through the big stories that happened in September. We just talk about them.
Oh.
We just banter, and I always bring up conspiracy theories and talk about the magic bullet, JFK, aliens landing, and all that stuff.
Oh, man.
Bro, I love, dude, Chris. I love a good conspiracy theory, dude.
Yeah.
I go
Ancient
hard
aliens?
on that.
Are you a
Actually-
big ancient aliens guy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
He's a little wacky, but I love
Yeah.
him, dude. Hair's
Yeah.
all blown out, Brazilian blowout, dude.
But actually, those episodes are super fun because it's like as opposed to getting someone new that's on, and it's like not total Q&A. We try to keep it as much open form conversation, like if we're all sitting down and having a drink together. Hey-o.
Yeah.
But so I think it's a very organic conversation. But the reviews, it's every month there's like crazy shit happening. Every month.
Oh, yeah.
Every month. It's not like there hasn't been one time where we came over like, what are we going to talk about?
No.
Like, I don't know what happened this month. Never. It's always something. You know what I mean? So like it's just a fun opportunity, and the people that we have on here, like, dude, they just think
We have a good crew. we
Yeah,
have a good
it's
team,
super
Chris.
fun.
We really do.
Nice.
It does take a team to get this done.
100%.
Yeah, and it's going good. Well, it's going very well. And also, Epstein didn't kill himself. And I'm gonna leave you at that. Anyways, thank you for
Whoa.
coming on.
That's a big drop.
Yeah, release the documents. Who was on the planes? Bill Clinton. #Hillary. Thanks, man.
Hey, yo. Yes.
Wow, that's heavy.
I like
Yes, it is. Chris, we usually do a let's go on 3. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
Bye, everybody.
And that's it. Thank you for listening in, everybody. We'd like to thank our sound engineer who makes this podcast happen and makes us sound very good, Stephen Clark. And to our first sponsor, 89 Barbers. Look good, feel good, be great. Come get your haircut at 2 locations, Long Beach and in Orange, California. Your appointment can be booked at 89barbers.com. That is BARBRERS. 89barbers.com. Again, look good, feel good, be great. Check it out. It's my barber. He is the man. Thanks, everybody. Bye.